Hi everybody, my name's Sarah, and I thought as my time's coming to an end here in Peru, I would tell you a little bit about the books I've been reading. So I'm going to try and do this really quickly because I have a whole stack here, and I'm going to do some very brief reviews of them. You can check my Goodreads, which is linked in my header, if you'd like to see on there what I rated them, although I haven't given all of them full reviews. So like I said, I'm going to try and do this quickly, but also because it's actually been raining today, which it's the dry season here in Peru. Peru has two seasons, wet season and a dry season. This is the dry season. It doesn't really rain here during this time of year. It's almost the time for it to rain, so this isn't that strange, but you got another month or so until it should start raining. So it's been like thundering and everything, so I'm going to try and do this before it rains again. The ground finally dried enough for me to come sit out here. You're probably wondering why I didn't do it inside. Well, all the furniture in the house is a violent shade of orange, and I was worried it would blow everything out and make, even like with the best of lighting, make it look weird. Also, it's pretty dark inside, and I wasn't sure how the lighting would work when I turned on lights. So let's get started. All right, let me see here. The first thing I read was Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. I hope I pronounced her name right. This is a young adult fantasy book, kind of a dystopian, almost like a sci-fi, because there are superpowers, but they're more magic based, I would almost say. It's kind of hard to describe, but it's really good. If you like dystopian fiction, I would definitely recommend it. It's about a girl who is part of the lower class, the Reds, and she discovers that she has superpowers, but of course, well, has powers, but of course that can be possible because only Silvers have powers. And it's just a story of what happens when people start to find that out. So yeah, that's this book. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the vividness of the world in here. I could very well see the town that the main character lives in, Mare lives in, the stilts. I could very well picture that, and I could picture all of the characters, and the descriptions are just very vivid, and I enjoyed it a lot. I believe the next thing I read, I'm not exactly 100% sure of the order, but I believe it was this, You're Welcome Universe by Whitney Gardiner. This is also a young adult book. I got this one, I believe the same place I didn't get that one at the same place, but same town, different store. This one is about a young girl named Julia who's in high school. Like I said, this is also a young adult book. She does graffiti, and she's a graffiti artist. And she gets kicked out of her school because she tries to help a friend using her graffiti, and it backfires. And suddenly she's put in just a public school where she's I believe the only student that's deaf in the entire school. And it's just difficult for her because it's a whole new world, and she has an interpreter that's really annoying that she doesn't like, and she doesn't like the students. You know, typical new girl moves into a new school and has to deal with it kind of thing. And of course it has to do with her graffiti art. And one thing that I really liked about this book, besides the story, because I've always found graffiti art very interesting, is the fact that it has a lot of illustrations in it, like that. And that is, I believe, yeah, that's one of her works. Let me see here if I can find another one. But just like it shows what her sketchbook looks like. And totally random, but I thought it was adorable, the fact that she calls her moms Ma and me like Mommy. I don't know, I just thought that was adorable. So yeah, I definitely recommend this if you're interested in art at all, because it talks about other types of art as well. But it does mostly focus on graffiti art, and I really enjoyed it. If you like sassy characters, a little bit of angst. Yeah, so let's see here, what's next? I believe the next one I read was Girl Out of Water by Laura Silverman. And this one, actually, if you can see the sticker here, has been signed. It has a nice little sticker inside with her signature on it. And I got this when I was at the beach right before I came here. I really enjoyed it. It's about a young girl who has to, again, a young girl, it's a young adult novel. Oh, I felt a raindrop. I don't want to get my books or my camera wet, so we'll try and hurry. Who has to leave her home in Oceanside, California for the summer to go help take care of her aunt after she's in a car crash with her 3 children. And it's just about her adventures in the Midwest of America, or I guess the West, in Nebraska. And if you enjoy almost like coming of age novels, I mean, it's not really coming of age, but it's more of like, she figures out who she is as a person. Like, I may not be in the area, the environment that I'm used to, but this is who I am as a person. I'm still me. So if you enjoy that kind of novel with a little bit of romance thrown in, I would definitely recommend this book. And then I read some ebooks, which I can show you real quick. I had my Kindle app open, but of course my tablet went to sleep. Alright, so the first one I read was, actually it wasn't that one, it was, come on, work with me here. No, don't close. Oop, too far. Let me see if I can get it to show you the cover. Obviously I don't use it. Oh, there we go. Get rid of the Snapchat notification. There we go. This is Knit 1, Girl 2 by Shira Glassman. And the tagline is a sweet Jewish F/F. I think it says contemporary novel. It stops. Like, it doesn't show me the whole thing. Yeah, but it's a romance, a contemporary romance between 2 girls, which you can see in the cover here, and it has to do with yarn and knitting and sock clubs and indie batch yarn dyers, and if you're like me and you're really into knitting, you'd probably very much enjoy this book. It's more of a novella than a novel, but it was really good, and I think I bought it for maybe $1 or $2. It didn't take me very long to read, because like I said, it's very short. I think you guys can see this. I'm trying to use a reflection in the camera, but I can't tell. So yeah. It was very good, especially if you're a nerd, you might enjoy this, even if you don't knit, because there's a lot of nerd references to like writing fan fiction and being in a fandom and whatnot. And then the second thing I read, hold on one second, I gotta pull up the front page again, or the cover. I wish it would just let me show the cover easily. Was If I Was Your Girl by Meredith Russo. Which, this is a young adult novel, whereas the last one was more of an adult novel. This is about Amanda, that's her name. I thought it was Andrea for a second. No, it's Amanda. I think she's about 15 or 16, and she moves away from her hometown with her mom to the town where her dad lives so that she can feel more safe in the environment, because since she has transitioned, she doesn't feel safe in her hometown, sadly. So it's just a story about her moving in and living in this new town and making new friends. It's got some romance in it. It's very much a contemporary romance novel, young adult, but it's very, I like the main character is transgender, and it's very, not necessarily explicit, but very good at explaining how she feels and how she deals with this, and I found her a very relatable character, especially since I lived in the same kind of town that she is now living in, that Amanda is now living in. Meredith Russo, I can't talk, is also transgender, so this book would be Own Voices. Yeah. Trying to think if there's anything else I want to say about it. No, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the romance in this book. I don't usually enjoy romance, regardless of whether it's adult or young adult, just because I'd rather read a fantasy, but I had really wanted to read this because it had just been recommended so many times by different people to me, and it had, you know, it had won awards. Sorry, I'm looking for the next book, that's why I'm looking down. Yeah, so I had very much wanted to read it, and I was very pleasantly surprised. Like, I expected to enjoy it, but it was more of, I was surprised to enjoy the romance aspect, so it was very good all around. The next book I read was an adult fantasy novel called The Call of Chaos by Frazier. This is an indie published book, I believe. Yeah. It was just came out last year, and I am actually friends with Sean on Twitter. We've been critique partners for a little while now, but it was really good. I enjoyed it. I'm more of a young adult fantasy person, honestly, less Lord of the Rings, more of Tamora Pierce's books, if you know Tamora Pierce. But I really enjoyed this. It felt a little slow in the beginning for me, just because I'm used to like the quicker pace of young adult, especially after reading so many young adult books in a couple weeks. but I really enjoyed it, and I really liked the magic that they had set up. There are threads that connect the world, and if you can interact with the threads and shape them, you can essentially do magic. And I really enjoyed that. It was quite a long book, but I enjoyed it a lot. I don't know if I have anything else to say about it. If you like kind of high fantasy type of things, I definitely recommend giving it a go. And I do believe you can buy them in paperback or in a physical copy. There's another raindrop. In a physical copy as well as an ebook, but I wanted to have a few ebooks for my trip. And I believe that's, oh no, I have one more that I already read. Okay, so the last book I read, and it's starting to rain, I can see the droplets on our patio out here, our concrete courtyard patio thing. Oh, hold on, I sat down the wrong way. My legs are already starting to cramp up, there we go. The last book I read was The Dream Thieves, the second book of the Raven Cycle by Maggie Stiefvater. I think that's how you pronounce her name. And this one focuses more on the character Ronan. I think that's how you pronounce his name, that's how I've been pronouncing it. This book was really good. I finished it last night. I could not put it down. I was kind of being annoying. I was being that person that was reading in the middle of like people talking. My housemates, Matto and Aves, were there, but I was just like, I gotta finish it, I gotta finish it! But I actually did recommend it to Matto because she's from Holland and she wants to practice her English by reading. And she finds that young adult books have an easy enough vocabulary, but have interesting enough content that she wants to read them, so I recommended them to her. But the reason I enjoyed this book so much is it was like the first one, but more ramped up, you know? Because the first one I thought started pretty mellow and ramped up all of a sudden at the end, which I don't know why I wasn't expecting that, but I wasn't. I need to talk slower, or I'm never going to be able to close caption this. I'm going to be like, I'm talking too fast. So let me see if I can slow down just a little bit. But one of the reasons I liked this book so much was the fact that it had things in it that called back to things in the first book, which I read quite a while ago, like almost a year ago now, that were important. And you knew they were important from the beginning. Like, it wasn't just something random that happened in book one that the author made important in book two. You know? Because I'm sure authors do that. I mean, I don't think of everything in advance. But it was nice to feel that strong connection between book one and book two. And it was book one, but more intense. Like, things are starting to ramp up. They know what they're doing. They know where to find Glendower. Well, they don't know, but they're just, you know, they have more clues and things are moving more quickly. And more things are going wrong, of course. But the internet actually spoiled a few things for me with this book. Nothing plot-wise, but like romance-wise. And romance has an interesting plot point in this book, which I don't know how it's going to play in yet, but I'm excited to find out. But if you know what I'm talking about, I don't really want to spoil anything. But so, like, I'm kind of reading the whole book, and I'm like, just kiss already, you know? It's just like, I know it's going to happen, so do it, you know? But only one of the two romances came to pass in the book, so I have to read the next one soon. And not just because I want to get to that point, but because it's so good. I really did enjoy this a lot. So that was the last book I read while I was here. And I have a few more. I have probably 4 more books. One I bought here, which is a book of poetry. One is a book I brought with me that was a gift from my Spanish teacher, which is the first feminist work written by a Peruvian woman, which I did not finish because it got stuck underneath something in my suitcase. I don't remember what, and I just kind of forgot I had it because it's a very thin little book. If you're interested, it's called Aves sin Nido by Clorinda Matto de Turner, and in English, because I have the English copy, actually not the Spanish copy. It's Birds Without a Nest by Clorinda Matto de Turner. Let me see here. I have one ebook that I have left to read. But yeah, the book I bought here was Rio by Javier Heraud, which was a poet in the 40s that lived in Peru and a few other countries for a while, but he was Peruvian. Hold on. I don't need you to tell me about the book. I just want to show the cover. No. I don't want to see the first page. No spoilers. Contents. If I can get rid of this Facebook message. Everybody wants to talk to me. Ooh, and there goes an alarm. I'm not that popular, I promise, but it's Shadowshaper by Daniel José Older. Or Older, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but I actually got this book from a friend on Twitter. She was giving away ebooks, and she asked which one I wanted, and I really wanted to read this, so I said yes. So I have really no idea what it's about. I know it's a fantasy. But that's it, because I can't really show you the back of the book or read it to you or like look at it or anything, but I'm very excited to read it. It kind of reminds me, based on like the fantasy and the aesthetic, and it looks like it might be set in New York City or some city at some point, like there's a skyline at the bottom. I feel like it might be New York, but I really don't know. It kind of reminds me of, it's Labyrinth Lost by, who's it by? Oh my goodness. Zoraida. What's her last, or is that her last name? I don't know. But Labyrinth Lost. I'll put a link down at the bottom so you can see what book I'm talking about. But that's the last ebook I have to read. I mean, I have some on here about teaching, because I am an education major, but they're all like nonfiction textbooks that I downloaded about intersectionality in schools, and they're all the free excerpts, like the first 5 chapters. So I won't tell you about those really. But then I have this book, which I have wanted to read for ages and bought it just before I came here. It's so dusty out here. I should have swept before I sat down. That's what I did last time. Anyways, it's Ramona Blue by Julie Murphy. And this is a book about a girl named Ramona, obviously, and she has always been pretty, well, not always, but is now pretty confident in her sexuality. And this is just what I've read off the inside flap. I haven't read this one yet, but this will probably be what I read on the airplane. But all of it, she knows she's a lesbian, but then all of a sudden she finds herself falling for a guy, and just with everything going on in her life, she has to figure out who she is, like who she is as a person. It's a very, very much a coming of age story, young adult novel, and I'm very excited for this book in particular, because not only is it bisexual rep, but it is bisexual rep where the main character is interested in a guy. I don't know. That's important to me, and I am very excited to read this. So I will let you know how those 2 books are once I get them read, if you guys are interested. But yeah, so like I said before, if you're interested in more in-depth reviews, you can check out my Goodreads, which is linked in the header up top of my profile. I don't know how many of them will have in-depth reviews, because I kind of started my Goodreads randomly one night while I was here, because I wanted to keep track of what books I read while I was here. But I had one before, but I never used it, and I deactivated it, and I was just like, I don't use it. But I've kind of been obsessed with using it, to be completely honest. So some of them might have reviews, some of them might not, but you'll at least be able to see how many stars I gave them. But anyways, I think that's it. So thank you guys for watching. I'm really glad it didn't start raining. It looked like it might. It sounded like it might. There was thunder. Oh, that's thunder. I don't know if you guys can hear that. All right. Thanks for listening to me ramble. Bye, guys.